Welcome to Pure and Simple, a Camp Deer Run podcast. We hope you'll be encouraged to keep on the path as you follow Jesus each day. The pure and simple truth I want to share with y'all today is true for every single person in this world at all times of their life in any circumstance. It is challenging and it is real, but it is very simple. And that pure and simple truth is that I can choose my attitude. In every circumstance, whatever's going on, whatever type of day or week or year I'm having, I can choose my attitude. This is really challenging. I feel like it's convicting even just saying it, even speaking of it, because there's plenty of times where I don't have a great attitude. And I'm sure you might kind of look at yourself and agree with that. There's times where we don't approach things with the best mindset, where we don't enter into an activity or a meeting or whatever it may be with the best attitude. And it affects everything when we do that. It affects ourselves, it affects our mind, it affects our thinking. It has an impact on others. Our attitude is so very important. In fact, I can remember, it was probably 1993. My counselor's name was Jeff. I don't really know his last name, but we were up at Chuka Bathhouse, and we happened to be one of a few people up there, and I can't remember what was going on, but he shared, Ty, man, I just want you to remember that attitude is everything. And he went on to share like a little bit about that, and I don't remember exactly what was going on, but he shared attitude is everything. And it's so very true, because in everything we do, our attitude will have an impact. And in Philippians chapter 2, we are called to have the same attitude as that of Jesus Christ. And, that scripture goes on to talk about how Jesus was equal with God. He was God, but yet he did not hold on to his position in heaven. He did not hold on to who he was in that way of staying in this perfect place. He emptied himself and came to earth and took on the nature of a man and walked this earth. He confined himself to a physical body and dealt with hunger. He dealt with tiredness. He dealt with frustrating people, and he did it all with a perfect attitude, with a perfect mindset. And so we obviously can look to Jesus and how he lived to see what a good mindset, what a good attitude is. In everything, we should have the same attitude as that of Christ Jesus, and that is a challenging thought. Today, on this episode, we're going to have Ren Pollard, one of our summer staff members, along with Baylor Cain, another one of our staff members, on the episode, just talking about this. And as you'll hear me say here in a second, Ren is someone who often stands out because she has such a great, joyful attitude and such a hard worker. And so I'm excited to hear what they have to say about this today, and hope that you'll be blessed. And in everything, I hope that all of us can be challenged, I know I am, to consider our attitude, our approach, and our behavior when it comes to what attitude am I choosing for all these different circumstances in life. And I should look to Jesus and really try to pattern myself based on the attitude of Jesus Christ. Hope y'all enjoy this episode. Well, everybody, I'm excited because we have Ren on the podcast with me and Baylor today, or Baylor and I guess I should say. Want to get that grammar correct. But Ren is awesome. How many years have you been on staff?
3 years.
3 years. And I really just love Ren so much. She's done a great job, and I know has been a blessing in so many campers' lives. This topic that we're talking about, I specifically chose for Ren because I do think she has a wonderful attitude and has shown that through so many different situations, difficult, when things are going well, whatever it is, she has always chosen a great attitude. When I think about Ren, I think of someone who is joyful and fun and easygoing. I also think about someone who at camp can do so many different things, whether that's taming horses or being with the young kids or the old kids, enjoying out camping, being like a character. I think of this summer. I don't know. You have that giant, is it pink? Giant pink wig, and
It's white.
it's white? What? Okay, I'm colorblind, everybody. I think it's pink. I'm going to maintain it's pink. But I just remember sitting at a cookout and you and Emmeline and some others were being so silly and funny with your wigs and putting on a country accent. But I also think about your intensity when it comes to the camper staff basketball game. Those poor children cannot get the ball past half court sometimes because you keep stealing it from them and get these breakaway layups, but it's awesome. So, Ren, we're so glad to have you on here and excited to get to hear kind of your thoughts on this topic about our attitudes. And so, yeah, I guess Baylor, do you have anything you want to throw in there about Ren and ways that you've seen just her Christ likeness
I
throughout the
mean, yeah, if we're doing an episode on choosing your attitude, I think Rin is the perfect person for it. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with who she is and the way she is at camp. But she's someone who is definitely glass half full. She sees everything, the good in everything and the positive. So I'm really excited to see what she has to say and very glad to catch up. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So, yeah, our pure and simple truth is that I can choose my attitude. And so we're really thinking about no matter what is going on in our lives, what, things that are out of our control, decisions we've made, whether things are going well or things are not going as well as we'd like, we still have the opportunity to choose some attitude, one way or the other, and we want to talk about that. So I guess Ren, just want to ask you why does our attitude matter? Why does this matter in life?
Well, I would have to say that I think our attitude matters in every situation when it comes to relationships with other people, when it comes to relationships with God, and when it comes to like really being honest with ourselves. I think attitude is just so incredibly important, and sometimes we can forget what kind of impact it has in so many small ways. And so I think it's important for like being our witness to the people around us and just kind of like affecting the atmosphere of the situation we're in. And that like is our entire goal as Christians is to like show love. And we can do that through like choosing what kind of attitude we're going to have toward the people around us.
Did camp, maybe not necessarily this summer, but just your couple of years on staff, like how did that experience highlight the importance of attitude? I'm thinking of like things you just said and the impact it has, but how would you say, like, just considering when you're on staff, what's the effect of your attitude?
I think it affects the staff members around us for sure. And then kind of in a leadership way of like, how am I going to lead this situation that I'm in through my attitude? Because having a negative attitude can really like draw the entire like emotion of the people around you down. And then I think also with campers as well, like they're seeing that and they're reacting based on your attitude within any situation. Like I think about at the beginning of the summer when it rains like every single day. And like just being positive, like rain is my favorite thing ever. And the kids are like, wait a second, like that's my favorite thing too. And in reality, like their shoes are going to be wet for the next 2 weeks. And so that's kind of like what we can do to flip our minds and kind of trick ourselves into bad situations can affect everyone if we choose to be that positive attitude.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was thinking of as well, is just whatever attitude the staff have, the campers are going to adopt pretty quick. And I was thinking about rain and out camping and like it either is so fun because the attitude that has been chosen and adopted is one of we're going to make the best of this, or it is just terrible because of the attitudes of the staff, one way or the other. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. And then thinking about that, what is difficult just in general, but also what's difficult for you, even though Baylor and I just said you do such a great job choosing a great attitude, but like what do you think is difficult about this idea of I can choose my attitude and I don't always choose it well all the time?
I think it can be really difficult when, like, for myself, when I can confuse my emotions and my attitude of like they cannot be confused. I have to choose my attitude and I can't always choose my emotions. And so sometimes when I'm feeling a certain way and when I'm like stressed or when I'm in a situation that I don't want to be in, I think I can tend to like let my emotions rule what my attitude is supposed to be and how it should be. And so in that it's like that can be really difficult. And like an inward focus, that too is something that kind of like can stink and can like be hard when it comes to your attitude. So those things I would say are
Yeah.
like kind of difficult.
Yeah, and you made me think just then about like, is there a difference between our emotions and our attitude? And I definitely think there is. But do you sometimes feel not confused, but like, is there sometimes this kind of, I guess, within you thinking about like, am I having a bad attitude when really you're just feeling some emotions in that moment? You're going to process them and choose a good attitude. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you ever feel like you're stuck and wrestling through your emotions and not necessarily like a bad or a difficult attitude?
Yeah, I think a lot of times like when I start to feel these emotions and then it's like I can see that they're affecting the way I'm treating other people or even the way I'm speaking to myself. Um, Sometimes I think, yes, it's important to acknowledge where you're at and how you're feeling. It's important to be in touch with like your emotions. But when they tend to like affect other people, that's not okay. But also like we go through hard things and we do hard things and situations arise and it's like got to give ourselves a little bit of grace of like I'm human and like I can do hard things and yeah, this kind of stinks. Or like if I'm talking to someone and they're going through something hard, I'm like, man, like I'm sorry and that is hard and you can do this. But I do think it's important to kind of like be in touch and understand where you are a little bit and give yourself grace.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think you just in a couple of your answers, you've continued talking about the impact of your attitude, and it sounds like that's actually something that helps you notice sometimes what your attitude is that what others are, how they're reacting to you, and the impact it's having. But what or who is impacted by the attitude we choose? Just talk to us about that.
I would say everyone's impacted. Like whether you choose to smile at someone on the side of the road or whether you choose to like honk your horn at someone when you're driving, when they're driving crazy, like
Baylor.
everyone's affected by your attitude.
Yeah. Yes, including yourself.
Absolutely.
So when we think about Jesus, I always want to come back to him, but particularly because Philippians says that we should have the same attitude as Jesus. So obviously he had a good one. But when we think about Jesus, like how did he live this out, or how did you see him embody this anything you can think of, Ren?
I think a lot about like my word last year was gentleness. And I think a lot about how he reacted to situations. And I kind of like got into this and was kind of reading about it of like response and reaction of like your response has to be over your reaction and kind of how Jesus, like the situations he was in and the encounters that he had, he could react a certain way. But I see a lot of like he chose to respond rather than just kind of react to the situation. Um, and kind of like just really thinking about his compassion for other people, it like amazes me. So it's like he is so gracious and loving and just when I think about Jesus and his attitude toward people and children of God, it's like I just can think of the word compassion.
Hmm. Absolutely. I also can think about times Jesus was frustrated, and in that moment, I guess he had a choice how he was going to handle it, and he definitely calls people out. But I guess when you think about that, Ren, I don't know, how do you see Jesus and his attitude affecting how he deals with people, even when he's frustrated or going through a hard moment with them.
I think of the situations of like he is acting out of love and he's acting out of like what is going to be the best thing that I can do right now to get people to understand how I feel about God and their relationship with God, his father.
Mhm.
And so with that it's like he definitely chose love and it could have been like a hard love.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely did not take the easy way out often. But yeah, he shows so much compassion and so much love in his approach, in his way of thinking, and in his behavior towards other people. So, well, how can you then take what we learned from Jesus and put that in practice? Not just you, but how can we all do that, like that you see? How can we take the attitude of Jesus and put that into practice in our life?
I think we can take the attitude of like understanding people and their situations. And you may not be in that situation, but like understanding and then the respond react of like, I think about when campers are like maybe acting out of like maybe understanding where they are and why they're doing that, of like the compassion and love that comes into that aspect of situations and like people, even people in college of like, I'm being treated this way, and Jesus would show compassion and kindness and gracious and patience, of course. So much patience.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, Ren, I really thank you for sharing these thoughts and kind of want to give you an opportunity to just give a general encouragement to any campers or staff or alumni who may be listening, whether it's about attitude or just kind of your hope for them for this semester or part of the year. So, what just general encouragement would you share with anybody who's listening and who's seeking to follow God?
I would say something that I have felt very encouraged by and something that has helped me grow is that um, I do not need to change for anybody, and I'm loved for exactly who I am. And so when I think about like comparison is such like a natural thing, I think, just with anything, good or bad. And so I think about what you say in orientation of comparison is the thief of joy. And so I'm very much like a phrases person. Like when I get into a situation, I like think of a phrase and that one of like, I'm loved for who I am and comparison is the thief of joy. And so I just want to encourage people to understand that they are worthy of love and they are worth dying for. And so in that we have to choose life every day and our life is a choice. So make it a good one.
Hmm, very good. I love it. Well, we're going to have Baylor jump in here and just fire a bunch of questions at you, some silly, some kind of get to know you for people that may be listening and maybe don't know you as well as we do, and also just some meaningful questions. So, Baylor, why don't you take it away and Ren, get ready because the questions are going to keep coming.
Thank you for such a great segue. I also have to add, if we're going to be talking about to Ren, first of all, if you're listening and you don't know Ren, I feel really sorry for you. But if we're going to talk about Ren and choosing her attitude, I have to bring up the fact that there was a point of this summer where Ren had to take some time off at the nurse's station, and hanging out at the nurse's station was the fun thing to do that week. And I think that says a lot about who she is. So, talk about making the most out of your situation. Ren is great at it. So, Ren Pollard, where do you go to college?
I go to Abilene Christian University. Scratch 'em.
Awesome. Scratch him. At ACU, what is your major and what are you involved in on campus?
My major is nursing, and I'm very involved in intramurals and club and my college ministry at my church,
Awesome. And what club?
Kojo Kai.
There it is. There it is. All right. How many years have you been at camp in total and how many years on staff?
I've been at camp for 10 years, and 3 of those were on staff.
Awesome. Now, two pretty personal ones. What is your favorite food of all time?
My favorite food of all time is cantaloupe.
Wow. Really? Very left field answer, but all right. Shout out Cantaloupe. Okay. Wait, that's funny. All right, Ren. What did you do in high school? Like, did you play sports? What did you do?
I did. I played a lot of sports. Um, I just, that's pretty much all I did. And a lot of youth group stuff. I was very involved in my youth group.
Fun. What was your best sport? Other than, I mean, I've seen it play out in the camper staff basketball game, but would you agree?
Um, I would say that I loved basketball a lot. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, camp questions. Out of all of them, what is your favorite theme day at Camp Duran?
Cowboy Day all the way.
It's
Cookout. Explain why. Okay, a cookout is top tier.
hmm
Love a good cookout. And then belly flopping in the creek is always fun. It's
Good
just
one.
a good day all around. Good
It is.
vibes.
It is a good day for vibes. Good segue into our next one for you. Speaking of cookouts, what is your favorite cookout site at camp?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I know.
Um, I did a cookout at Okatoa once, and that was really cool.
Shout out Okatoa, one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
All right. Thinking back on this summer, we had lots of good ones, so this might be a hard question. What was the best night canteen that we did this summer?
Oh my goodness.
I know it's
I
tough,
really got to go back, like think about it.
right?
Hmm. I would probably have to say the oh, I don't know what it was called, but the one where they were all painted green and they were the Ninja Turtles.
Yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Teen.
That was awesome. That was
That
like the
was
coolest
awesome.
thing ever.
I also think the video, so for those listening and weren't there, they did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle canteen and hid under canteen and no one knew and they just like came out and surprised everybody and Ren was standing exactly where they ran out from and I've never seen her that scared in my life and it was awesome. Good answer. All right. Looking back on this summer again, out of all the cabin activities you did, what was your favorite, most fun, one that you remember?
Man, that's a hard one.
hmm
Oh, I got to think. One of my favorite cabin activities. I gotta think of all my cabins.
I know. This is a tough one. This is the hardest one, I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay. So me and Emmeline were both head counselors fifth session. And so we were like, all right, our girls like were super fun, like a good middle age fun beginning of the week. We wanted them to really like bond and get to know each other. And I had all these costumes and I had like a couple of extra permacos that were like spending the day with us. And so me and Emmeline and Ro and Elizabeth, I think. I can't remember. It was super early in the summer. Actually, no, it's this session. Um, we dressed up as princesses, and I was Elsa, and Emmeline was Belle, and Ro was Merida. And we had them do like princess training camp, and we
Mm,
like made them snow cones, and Belle told them stories, and then Ro like had them all climb the wall together to like be brave, you know? And it
mm.
was so funny. We ate that up and the kids were loving it. Oh,
That
and
sounds
then
fun.
afterwards we had them like create their own princess dress and like story. And so they got to like really kind of mix in and get creative with each other, which was hilarious.
Wait, that's awesome. That sounds fun. That's a good one. Good answer. All right, now kind of segueing into our more deeper, reflective ones. We talk about this a lot during the summer, I feel, especially as a staff. And there's lots of different answers. You can give one, you can give a broad one, but at camp, how do you say you see God working?
I feel like there's just so many answers, so many
hmm
ways that I can answer this. So I'm like, I gotta choose this the way I see the most. Um, I think I see God working the most in like the small moments that you have with your campers or with the staff members where it's like you just get it. Like
Hmm.
you're having a great time and you like make that eye contact with that one camper, or you just like make that moment. And it's like that moment cannot be made without God giving me the strength to like make it through this day, or like open that kid's heart or open my heart to other people, of like those relationships cannot be formed on our own. And that's where I see God the most.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does. And I know exactly what you mean. You're so right. There's so many good answers, but that's a good way to put them like all into one. I like that a lot. So obviously our theme this summer was beloved, and we always have a theme and it's always cool to like focus our minds on it. But for some reason, I feel like this summer has just like really stuck with me as I've like carried on after camp. So I want to know, Ren, what does beloved mean to you after this summer? So like today and the spot you're in now, what does that phrase and our theme verse, how does that stick with you?
I think it sticks with me the most in the ways of like sometimes I cannot be very gracious with myself, and I tend to be very hard on myself. And so like beloved is just such like a, to me when I think of it, I think of like someone just being held like in my hands, and I'm keeping it so careful, and so it's like I am held and it's going to be okay. And like something that I walk away from this summer of like the love that I experienced, like unconditional love, and what beloved means through that, of like God makes the choice to love me unconditionally. That is what I'm gonna like take into my life and my walk with him.
Yeah, for sure. I also think it brings such a sense of peace, and I like that example of like being held. And I think about it a lot, like the campers come to camp for 1 or 2 weeks, and then it's pretty harsh, like thrown back into home. But also for the staff, I mean, we move out there for 10 straight weeks, and then we're all jumping into college, and it felt like this year especially, we all went back so quick, and that's been a comfort to me as well, just knowing that the stuff I learned this summer remains true. And that's a good feeling, knowing that through all the changes and all the craziness of starting college for another semester, you're still beloved, you're still a child of God, and he's still right there. So I like that answer. Good stuff. Speaking of college, when you head back to college day to day, what camp practices or ideas or focus do you take with you to ACU in college?
Well, I would say like the one thing that makes it so easy to do that in every area is that there are so many camp people here. Like
Hmm.
there are a ton of CDR staff that I see like every single day. And so being able to like be held accountable with that, of like I'm able to keep up those conversations that I have with staff members over the summer, like biblical conversations in my day-to-day life. So it's not just something that I experience at camp. Like me and Allie talk a lot and we kind of dissect things. And so like I think it's so important to have those conversations with your friends. But also I really try to stick to my journaling in my quiet time, and I do this at night. And I've noticed that when I keep up the journaling, I'm able to see things and to kind of like open up my heart a little bit more, because it tends to like I tend to like shrink up when I get to school and I'm like, "Oh man, I just wish I was at camp." But if I can like stick with that journaling and understanding that like the God at camp is the God that's at ACU, and he's the same and he loves me the same, and my relationship with him still needs growth. And so it's so important that I make that decision to do that every single day and
Right.
make it a discipline.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I think for me, a big like practical one is obviously Vine time, and I love the habit that it forms at camp, and then it's so much easier to just continue it once I'm here, and it looks different because you're not like in the middle of the woods, although I wish we could be, but it's definitely good. I also think something I've been thinking about that we talked about a little bit in AFC, our college minister was talking about it in the context of like when we serve the kids we go to missions for, but like the spirit of play that camp brings, and just like the lightheartedness and like the aspect of having a childlike faith. I think camp has done wonders for me. Of even if it's like silly, goofy stuff at college, like we just had Howdy Week, which is a lot of like hype and energy, and it's a very similar feeling to camp. And you're meeting a lot of people, and you have new freshmen, and just that spirit of being willing to have fun and lay back and just let God work. I think camp is really good for that. All right, last question. You have given us some great answers. Last one is, so as you've gone throughout camp, as camper to first year on staff to now third, how have you seen God use you in different ways? What has that felt like? How has he revealed himself to you in different ways? Kind of just talk about that for a little.
I think with my like camper years and then comparing them to staff years, we talk a lot about this on staff of like we are no longer being served. And so at camp, it's like it's all fun and like sunshine and rainbows and everything is just like happening. Like it's just falling into place and you're like, man, like this is such a great place. I don't know how these things are just like working out so perfectly. And then you kind of get behind the scenes. And I remember like my first year on staff, I was like, wow, like they do a lot so that like my image of camp is good and like not so that we are like working behind the scenes to like manipulate, but it's like we do these things in service because to show the campers that we love them so much. And so kind of like having to step into that and realize that of course was like definitely an adjustment. And then between my first, second, and third year, I would say um, my first year, I struggled in the ways of like understanding what my role was and understanding like that my impact is not mine and that it's God's. And so I would kind of get caught in like, I got to make sure I say the right thing or I got to make sure I do the right thing. And it got really exhausting. And so once I realized, like, it kind of clicked, I want to say when I got to college and when I got to like my second year on staff of like, man, I am here and God is working through me and like there's nothing I can do like that God like God's gonna make it happen, even if I mess up because we're human. And then I would say like that year was such a wonderful year, my second year on staff. So many amazing things happened. Wonderful friendships came out of my second year that I just love and still keep up with to this day. And then coming back this year, I was so pumped just because it's like a different mindset. Like I've been there and I know what I'm doing and I'm confident in it. And so in that, it's like now God can work through me to like help other people. And I was given a book by Reagan McClure, shout out. And it was just a book about humility and kind of like what that looks like when it comes to relationships with other people. And there were a lot of phrases in that book that I used throughout the summer and kind of started with over the school year. And I saw like it affected my relationships and my conversations. And I was just able to really step into like what my purpose is as a Christian and what that means when it comes to like meeting people on their level. And it brought me just so much joy, like immense joy. And then I just never wanted the days to end every single day.
Well, it has been awesome to sit here and just listen to kind of these memories and your thoughts, and even that last little part, Ren, thinking about how much you have grown. And it's funny because really a lot of what you just talked about was how your mindset and your attitude continued to grow and develop. And I think it might be one reason because you said it a second ago. You said, I still have a lot to learn, which that is an attitude or a way of thinking. And so I appreciate you and the fact that you are humble and you are wanting to grow and wanting to learn. And just seeing you serve and bless our campers has been so good and so fun. And I do hope you have a great school year and that everybody I know will have been encouraged to listen to all that you've shared here on this episode. And so I want to give you the last word, Ren. What would you want to finish up with just saying to your campers who might listen to this as they really kind of get started with school this year? What would you share with your campers?
I would share the verse that immediately comes to mind, and it just so happens to work out perfectly because this was the verse I used all summer, that the joy of the Lord is my strength. And in so many situations, like that is what got me through, and that is what can get someone else through, or a camper through, or anyone that's listening. Of like, seems so simple and so easy, but it is just so important for pulling you through those situations that you're in, and you can do it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ren, and thanks, Baylor, and everybody listening. And we hope you'll tune in for another episode coming up in a few weeks.